All right, so today is drafting day. So by this point, you should have gone to your Google form and typed in, chosen which topic that you're going to be writing your letter to the next president. And so the next step would be to go down to Friday/Monday. And this will look a little bit different because I'm making this on Friday. And so I'll probably revamp it for next week. But you'll go to where it says Start Writing or your MAPS Persuasive Letter. And this is what you're going to see. Now, you click on this link. I'm not going to, just because every time I've done it, it kind of gets weird on my Internet Explorer, but it should work for you. It just logs me out of Canvas for some reason. But this is where you're going to get to. And so what we'll do in class is I'll have you guys read lots of different samples and we'll talk about them. But it's really important to kind of look around on here. I go to Letters, or you can go to Surprise Me, and you can see what people are writing about. Now, one real quick issue, these are all from students, so I want you to look at them and I want you to see what to expect, and yet at the same time, I want you to know that when you turn it into turnitin.com, it will be checking to make sure that you are not taking anything from that site, because it does check the internet, and I made specific about letters to the next president. So you can be inspired by them, but just make sure you don't copy them, because that'd be a 0 and a summative. No good. So anyway, that's that. I do want to show you this. The draft that we're going to be working on, it is due by November 1st/2nd, A Day, B Day, and it needs to be into turnitin.com. Super, super, super important that you bring it to turnitin.com, because that's how we're doing our revising and editing. Has to be into turnitin.com. So the end goal will be you'll be writing your draft on Google Docs, and then you'll be uploading it into turnitin.com, like what we did with the Odyssey project. So you know how to do it. You have your login information, your password. Hopefully you've got all that saved somewhere, and it needs to be into turnitin.com by November 1st/2nd. A couple of things that you're going to need. You're going to need to have this MAPS document, and I'm going to show you on a PowerPoint just because it's just a little bit easier, but it'll look like this. You'll get a piece of paper, and that link on my Canvas site will have it for you. But I do need you to fill this out, and this is pretty simple. What do we know as a letter type? And you just put, it has to be, there are strict features to it. It needs to be, you need to have your address at the very top, you need to have the salutation, you need to have the body, you need to have the closing, you need to have your signature, or in our case, your name. And so we're going to do it. How is it formatted? That's kind of what I ran through, but it's a business format. Now, media is a little bit tricky. This is just a format to kind of get your brain thinking about how to set up this, the draft. But the media, we're going to be using Google Docs. So when it says what final publishing format will I be using, Google Docs and then turnitin.com. And then we are going to take it one step further in pre-AP, and we're going to make a media portion. So we're not going to do that for another week or so. But I just want you to think, like, if you had to do that, would you do it with a quick video? Would you do a blog, a website? What would you do to get this message out in a different format other than a Google Doc? Now the next thing is our audience. I want you to think about who you're actually addressing this to. Okay, the end goal is to be the next president of the United States. So here are some questions that I want you to answer. What can we assume about the previous experiences and knowledge a president will have? Okay, so I just want your thoughts on that. What can we as an audience assume that they know about your topic? What kind of things might a president want to hear about? And what tone is most appropriate for a letter to a president? And I believe that you can answer those. I want to kind of pick your brain on that one, see what you think. Purpose, what action or result are you hoping for in writing about this issue? Okay, which you probably stated that already on one of the other forms, but just to kind of keep that in mind, it's really cool, really good to keep that end in mind. What are your reasons for writing about this particular issue? And you did mention that on some of the previous assignments. Again, I just want you to continue to keep the reason why you're doing it in mind. That always helps kind of with the motivating factor. And then the last thing is situation. What is your personal context for writing about this issue? What personal experiences or stories might you include in your letter? So basically, that's going to be your examples. Like, why is this important to you? Is there something a story or something about why this is important? Do you have a friend that went through it? Did you go through it? Do you have something that is personal to you? And what is that? So that's just called MAPS. It's just a way to kind of get your thoughts going on why you're doing this. What is the purpose behind it? And what are some aspects you need to be aware of? Okay, so then the next thing on the back side, now this is a yellow sheet. I'm just going to tell you, in class we're using a yellow sheet. You'll get something that looks like this. And this is where you actually outline your essay. Now, there isn't a lot of room, and you guys are big writers. So what I'm going to ask on this sheet is you just jot down your thoughts. Okay? So in the introduction, you would say, you introduce yourself, and then why are you writing this letter? What's your topic? And then what's your thesis statement or your controlling idea? So in your thesis statement, it might say, gun control is a very important issue because reason 1 and reason 2. Or while other people might think that gun control isn't a crucial issue, it's something that the next president of the United States needs to understand because of 1 and 2. So that's just kind of getting your thoughts. Your body paragraph 1 is your first idea, so you'd have your topic sentence, and just jot that down, and then your first claim. So why is it important? What's your first reason why it's important? And like I said, just jot down your thoughts here because you really don't have room for the 2 to 3 sentences. And then you have a counter argument, and I'm going to ask that you attempt to do a counter argument. All counter arguments is you saying, I understand that other people think differently, and they'll say this. However, they're wrong because of blah, and then you'd answer that. And so if you're looking for ideas on how to do counter arguments, here are some stems down here. One may argue, and then you put that in there, however, bam. In order to do this, we must do this. It would be to our benefit too. You're basically saying, okay, this really is important. Other people may not totally agree, but this is why it's important. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to attempt that, and that's 1 to 2 sentences, so no big commitment. And then you would go ahead and you might do some further explanation of both of your claims. Why is it important? Tie that back to the thesis. So you explained your first point, so what? Tie that back. Okay, so then you'd have a transition, because remember, transitions are really, really, really important. And in the second body paragraph, you would have your second reason. So same kind of deal with the first reason. You'd have your topic sentence about, what's your topic, and then for the second claim, 2 to 3 sentences, telling about it, throw in a counter argument, and then 1 to 2 sentences kind of tying that back to that thesis and why it's important. In that explanation area, or actually you could do it either in the first claim or the explanation area. That's where if you have a personal story or an anecdote that you want to include, or specific examples, put that in that area. All right, and then the last part is your conclusion. So you do a real quick summary of your points, and then you'd restate your thesis, and you'd answer, so what? So why is it important? Tell us one more time. Give it the push about why it's important. That's that persuasive aspect of it. The summary of key points and the restating of the thesis, you might combine that into one sentence, so don't get too worried about that. That's okay. But you can see over here that we have some sentence starters that might help you out. And over here you can see we have sentence starter for your commentary or your explanation. So you got a couple things you can work with. Now, again, I want you to go back to where it says here. You will likely not have enough room for your outline on this, but it will give you a start. So just, jot down some notes in here. Jot down what you're going to write about. And then after that, you're going to go, you completed the maps, you complete your outline, and then you log into Google Docs and you type it up. So if you could please title it, make sure you're in your KISD account, title it with your last name, your period, and then the letter to the next president. Okay? Once you're all finished drafting up this really cool letter, then you go to turnitin.com. And again, it's really, really, really important that you put it into turnitin.com prior to the next class period, just because that's the way we're going to do our revising and editing. So it does need to be in business letter format. You can hit this template if you want to, or you can just use this. Now, some people like to do templates and other people don't. This is just a template that I put on, my Keller ISD account. Make sure that you save it, you rename it and save it as. I think you might even have to do copy as, or make a copy first, and then rename it, your last name, period number, letter to the next president, and then you should be okay. Otherwise, what will happen is it might mess up the format. So do make a copy, last name, period number, letters to the next president, save it in your drive, and you should be okay. And then, like I said, your next stop would be to put into turnitin.com. Again, super, super, super important that you put it into turnitin.com. If you're struggling with that, I mean, you have the paper written, you've got it done, but you can't get into turnitin.com to save your life. You forgot every password known to man. I can't really help you with the passwords because they don't show me that. I can help you with what you use for login, but I probably won't be able to get to you over the weekend. So just stop in on Monday morning, and I've got my Chromebooks, and you can load it then. All right, so good luck, and I hope you do well in your draft.